Hey everybody, welcome in to the Film Buffa podcast, brought to you by, I don't know if I have a sponsor, but if there is a sponsor-ish, I would say Vinny's Italian Meats and Euro, which is a great Greek-American restaurant over on Ivanhoe, next to I-44 and Arsenal. So if you were in St. Louis and you're like, man, maybe you're Ubering around there, maybe you're working around there, maybe you're just walking and going, man, I need something to drink. Maybe you're at one of the great dive bars right next to there called Musers or Babes, and you just need some place to go. Vinny's is great. It looks like you're eating in a giant kitchen. It's like you're eating in Mom's kitchen if Mom's kitchen had 5 tables and was kind of like a double space. But the Euro's great. If you're a Bear fan and you want a St. Louis version of the Italian beef sandwich, he gives you a plate full. It is an open-faced sandwich that is going to fill you up. Vinny's potatoes are crispy potato bites with Parmesan cheese sprinkled all over them. Deep breath. Baklava for the Greek dessert fans like myself. Just think of honey and little crisp and all the little congealed all together into a sweet treat. But today we're going to be discussing, because with great food comes great movies to watch. The new movie opening Friday called The Death of Robin Hood, starring Hugh Jackman and released by the very, very talented studio A24. If there are 2 studios out there that are not bending to the will of streaming yet, they are kind of independent-ish studios. They're starting to spend a little more money on their movies, but Neon and A24 are just doing it right. They are releasing movies only in theaters. They are kind of kicking it old school when it comes to the distribution status of movies. Instead of just going right to streaming, they insist on a theatrical release. It's like the opposite of Netflix. Hey, we all love Netflix. There's a lot of people that don't go through a day without thinking about watching Netflix, watching too much Netflix, so they're not going to go anywhere, but it's nice to have a place like A24. So this is not your grandfather's Robin Hood movie. If you think of the Russell Crowe film, the Kevin Costner film, swashbuckling adventure, but kind of with a smile or a dark heroic kind of layer, this Robin Hood, played by a very angry, long gray hair carrying Hugh Jackman, who is channeling, he's channeling Logan. If I had to give this movie kind of a mashup, I would say it's Unforgiven meets Logan. Because in this Robin Hood, this guy is a murderous bandit. He is not, yes, he's robbed from the rich and given to the poor, but he also kills a lot of the poor. And he's done a lot of bad things in his life, and the movie picks up with him towards the end when he's just tired of being himself, tired of doing what he does, unable to live with the regret and the sadness that comes with what he does. And I don't want to get too much into it, but there's a death in the first 10 minutes that will tell you exactly, a death scene that is going to enlighten you about what kind of movie you're going to be watching. But he is, accompanied by his kind of sidekick, his buddy, Lil Jon, played by a kind of unrecognizable Bill Skarsgård, the modern-day Pennywise, the bad guy from John Wick 4. He plays Lil Jon. He talks like this, He's talking to Robin Hood about going to rescue his wife and his kid, and he's like, it's going to be a great battle. And he just disguises his voice in that way. But in a fight, Robin Hood is gravely injured, and he is taken to kind of a secluded island, a town, and there's a bunch of gracious nuns, sisters on this town, that kind of help nurse him back to health, including one particular one played by Jodie Comer, who is just, a really good actress, somebody that's really coming on. She was in Fall Guy. She was in The Bike Riders with Tom Hardy and Austin Butler. She plays this mysterious woman who kind of makes Robin Hood kind of question his life and maybe try to find his conscience and maybe try to make make amends if he can for the badness that he's done, even if the people in this town don't know who he is. And so that's the whole hook of the plot. There's a lot more to it. You know, when you're a guy like Robin Hood, you never stop having enemies, and you can never really turn off what you are. But the movie, you know, it's methodical. It's stunningly shot. I mean, Michael Sarnoski, the writer director, there's one mind behind this movie, and that's what got me really excited about it, because number one, Sarnoski directed Pig, which came out, I want to say 4 or 5 years ago, and just stunned me as far as being like my favorite movie of the year, starring a very gruff and kind of unrecognizable Nick Cage as a grieving man who hunts truffles with his pig, and his pig is kidnapped, and he has to go into town and find it. That wasn't what you expected, and I think, with the exception of A Quiet Place Day One, with Lupita Nyong'o and a great cast, Joseph Quinn, that was kind of an exciting and soulful and kind of like, it fell in line with the Quiet Place movies. But Pig and The Death of Robin Hood are kind of just, they're not what you expect when you're going in. You're thinking, okay, this is just going to be a different take on Robin Hood. Oh, it sure is. It's different from what you've seen, because in this story, he's not a hero. He's a bad man, and he's a bad man trying to find the shore of forgiveness, if he can reach it in time, or if his grief and his own, you know, guilt really kind of swallows him up. The movie is about a little bit over 2 hours. It doesn't feel it, except for maybe at the beginning of the third act, but for the most part, it moves pretty smoothly. Hugh Jackman is just tremendous. I mean, the fact that he's doing the kids' film The Sheep Detective, and now he's doing this, all in the same 2 to 3 month period of 2026, just reminds us all that he is one of Hollywood's best. I mean, we can rave all day about Leonardo DiCaprio and Christian Bale, but you cannot forget about the virtuoso ability of Mr. Hugh Jackman. And, you know, at one point he was dancing on Broadway and playing Wolverine. Now he's playing a murderous, angry Robin Hood, and then he goes and plays a sweet little sheep detective. It just tells you about he's one of the most versatile ones that you can imagine. So he powers the whole thing. Jodie Comer, who plays the mysterious sister that is kind of taking care of him, while also kind of wondering, maybe sort of falling for him, but kind of connecting with him. But, you know, it's all kind of under the veil of not knowing who he is. And we all can't escape who we are, especially if you're a Robin Hood that has done a lot of terrible things. But the movie, it's therapeutic, it's poignant. I mean, it's kind of like Pig, where it just kind of moves at its own pace. It's steady. You're going to kind of find yourself get swept up into the world. It probably has one of the best scores I've heard in a long time. The music is just fantastic. You know, it's you know, all those hymns, and then there's some rousing music. I mean, it's just all that just gets higher and higher and higher, especially when there's a fight scene between Jackman's Robin Hood and this very large man that you see in the trailer. But it's just, you know, it's the kind of movie that I think reminds us that we can still get these kind of cinematic, theatrical only delights in 2026. Because let's be honest, the theatrical slate these days is not what it used to be. A lot of stuff comes out on streaming, and if it doesn't come out on streaming, it is kind of coming to streaming within 3 to 4 weeks of coming out in theaters. So what separates A24 and Neon is that they try to keep their movies in the theaters as long as they can. And I would try to see this in a theater. It's just kind of like as much of a theater movie as I would say Disclosure Day is. Steven Spielberg's alien thriller is kind of, it's big theatrical booming, you need to see it, but in order to really appreciate the sound and the look and, man, the fury of this story that Michael Sarnoski's trying to tell about Robin Hood with a very marketable and likable actor in Hugh Jackman, and just twisting it dark, taking the Robin Hood story and Breaking Bad with it, and having those three great actors at the front of it. I mean, the whole cast is great, but the three Paramounts are Jackman, Comer, and Bill Skarsgård, who just, they're mesmerizing, all three of them. I mean, I could see all three of them, probably not, but I could see all three of them contending for some awards. At least they should be in the discussion. So that comes out Friday, June 19th. Man, yeah, if you can get out to see it, I would. I know Toy Story 5 comes out. I'm kind of wondering why they made a Toy Story 5, and maybe Disney is too, because they didn't screen it. Didn't screen it for critics. Maybe they are just convinced, kind of like certain people. There's a certain movie that came out in recent weeks that didn't get screened, but it didn't have to. Some movies are just critic-proof, and I would say Toy Story, Toe Story. It's a Toe Story. There's 10 of them. But Toy Story 5 is kind of like one of those sequels where it's probably going to be good, but shouldn't they have wrapped this up in 3 or 4? Didn't get screened, but Death of Robin Hood meets the hype, superbly acted, gorgeously shot. I mean, it's not for everybody. It's not for the squeamish. There are some brutal kills in this movie. There's some scenes that are going to churn your stomach. He does some terrible things. You're going to kind of look over at Hugh Jackman's character and go, man, what's wrong with you? Do you need a Snickers or something? He needs all the Snickers. But I would say, as far as if what the trailer, this is how I really judge movies, what the trailer promises, I think the movie gives. And when you leave it, it's not like you're going to be discussing it all the way home, but I think there's a lot in it that just can kind of compel the mind to appreciate cinema again, and be glad that we still have these kind of movies where actors like Hugh Jackman can play the likable characters, and then they can play the unlikable characters, and he does it with such a convincing palette, where he's just, from making the bows and arrows, like he teaches a young girl how to make, he makes her a bow for her, and again, the sister and the people in that town try to, humble him and make him understand that life is a series of moments where we have a bunch of moments behind us, and then we have a bunch of moments ahead of us. And it's the amount of time that we spend on each of those that determines how happy we are going to end up. And I don't know, a movie gets you thinking about all of that. So Death of Robin Hood, very, very good. Comes out Friday, only in theaters. I hope it stays there for at least a couple months. It's definitely a different kind of June movie. I think there'll be people that will be going to see the Spielberg flick on its second weekend. There'll be people that are going to go maybe something a little extra, like Robin Hood. So thanks for watching. I'm going to get off of here and maybe finish my delicious Starbucks drink. Man, I am a Starbucks bitch. If they ever put a Starbucks in a movie theater and they charge like, price and a half for it, I may just fall for it. I just can't. It's what I need to be me, is a good cup of strong coffee. This is a Trenta iced coffee, 32 ounces with 1 stevia, just to cut that caffeine, the stiffness, the toughness of the coffee a little bit down. And once again, if you are hungry and you're in the St. Louis area and you either want a little bit of Greek or you want American, you want that Euro meat, or you're a salty Mediterranean Euro meat fan where you eat it and you're just like, it's so good, but I'm a solid on the inside. Do it with Vinny. Vinny's got good stuff, and he's Matt Mulholland. Matt is the guy that kind of manages it and runs it. He's great. His crew is great. Everything is made fresh to order. You order some Vinny's potatoes, they're going in the fryer. You get part of a lamb shank in your little sandwich. They're going to be slicing that thing off, putting it on the grill. They have Polish sausages, hot dogs. They have, every Tuesday they have burgers. It's a special every day. Shrimp po' boy on, I want to say Wednesday, but I'm not sure. But that thing kicks ass. everything you would expect a shrimp po' boy to be. It is. And it's right next to 2 dive bars. And it's right next to a highway. So if you need to get somewhere, you just need to eat something, bam, boom, get off at Arsenal, eat, get back on Arsenal and on 44 and do what you got to do in South City. Kind of like South Central-ish city. You know, it's kind of right off, like I said, 44 and Arsenal. So go visit them and then go see The Death of Robin Hood this weekend. Go do it on a... You might want to eat before. I mean, it might make you a little squeamish, but I'm not sure how hungry you're going to be when you leave the movie, if you know what I'm saying. So eat before and then go watch a great movie, and your whole night and day can't lose. I'm Dan Buffa, and if you want to watch or read more of my stuff, it's at dailydoseofbuffa.substack.com. And if you want to go back in the day and read articles with worse grammar, but it's the same kind of mind and heart in it, doseofbuffa.com. And then, my gosh, just Google my name and you may have a week's of material, and I'll apologize later, but you have to read it first. But plenty of stuff on the Substack blog, Buffa's Buffet. The buffet is always open at Substack with me at the helm. So have a good one. It's Tuesday. Monday is dead. Tuesday's dying, and the week is just flying. So I'm going to get back to work. Everybody be good out there.